As mindfulness practitioners, we are familiar with attachments. But what happens when someone has become so attached to something that it begins to significantly impact their life in a negative way? When we think or hear the word addiction or addict, what comes to your mind? When you think of someone who is an addict, whom do you think of? These thoughts can be our own mental formations of something or someone that may not be entirely true. So as caring mindful practitioners, it would be helpful to have a common, accepted definition of the word addiction. For our purposes, we will define addiction as a physiological and physical inability to stop consuming a chemical, drug, activity, or substance, even though it is causing psychological and physical harm. It's not necessarily the same as misuse when considering a drug or substance. You can misuse a drug or substance without the mental or physical dependency. However, addiction takes away someone's ability to live mindfully. It takes away their happiness, their potential, and their growth as they walk their own path. As mindfulness practitioners, we know the joy of the moment, and we understand that the single moment is precious because it will never happen again. When we are with someone who is struggling with addiction, whether it be drugs, alcohol, food, relationships, reading, exercise, we can see the suffering they experience. Remember, going by the definition of addiction, even the innocuous, when taken to an unhealthy level, can become an addiction. All of these activities have the ability to blind us to seeing the true beauty that exists in the world. Most often, when we think of addiction, we think of drugs or alcohol. But I'd like to talk about other examples of addiction first. Relationships, for one. If not us, then undoubtedly someone you know has been involved in a bad relationship. Or it even could be relationships. Maybe this person feels that they can fix another person by staying in this relationship. Perhaps it's physical abuse, perhaps mental or emotional, but often it's both. Social media. Are you tethered to your phone? Do you consistently feel and feed your desire to read the news, or Facebook, or Snapchat? Although this type of addiction may not cause physical harm, it can result in psychological harm. How? Think about the young girl who compares her body to someone else. What do you think that does to her development? Does she become objectified or sexualized? Or the impressionable teen boy who joins in on the bullying of others to fit in? Or maybe it's an adult who consistently posts divisive media in the hopes of some type of acceptance or recognition. This recognition could be from other like-minded individuals or people with an opposite view confirming what the original poster believes. Drugs and alcohol, these certainly both have physical and mental and emotional repercussions and are important to be aware of. Perhaps there's poor health involved. Maybe there's a loss of a job and security. Maybe even a loss of freedom or death. Greed is another type of addiction, something that you're never satisfied with. People who become addicted were looking for something, and what they found to fill this void turned out to be debilitating. It's important to realize that addicts don't start off or were born as addicts. They were made. And what was made or formed can be remade and reformed into the nobility once inherent within. So how do we show loving kindness and compassion to those who suffer from addiction? For this, we can turn to several steps bestowed to us by the Buddha from the Noble Eightfold Path, as well as the concept of interbeing. Interbeing is duality. There is no left without a right. There is no up without a down. There is no darkness without light. There is no good without evil. That is the quality of interbeing. And so how I describe the following selected steps from the Noble Eightfold Path are meant to highlight selections of each of those respective steps, without diminishing their meaning as a whole. Right effort. To get rid of unwholesome states that have already arisen. To produce. To cause to arise. Good and wholesome states of mind not yet arisen. And to develop and bring to perfection the good and wholesome states of mind already present in a man. The compassion we give to someone who is suffering from addiction needs to be supportive and empowering. For example, including them on family dinners or outings, perhaps a nice quiet lunch. Remember, addiction originates from a lack of love they are receiving. Giving someone your attention in a positive manner develops, supports, and strengthens this loving bond. Right mindfulness. Diligently aware, mindful, and attentive with regard to the activities of the body, sensations or feelings, activities of the mind and ideas, thoughts and conceptions. All kinds of thoughts can go through the mind of someone who faces addiction. Who will love me? I'm not good enough. I'm too fat. I'm too skinny. All these types of thoughts are not right mindfulness. How we as mindfulness practitioners approach this person is very important. Our own personal thoughts help guide our actions, right effort, and need to be positive and uplifting. When we let doubt into our mind, we invite seeds of uncertainty to be sown. If times get challenging with this person, it's okay to reconnect with why we are helping to ease their suffering in the first place. Right speech. When one abstains from forms of wrong and harmful speech, one naturally speaks the truth. Use words that are friendly and benevolent, pleasant and gentle, meaningful and useful. Don't ridicule or belittle. We are supportive and uplifting. When we have right mindfulness, right speech tends to follow. It's very important to pause, examine, and then speak to our friend or loved one. Remember, being an addict, they have been told over and over that they are deficient in some way when they are not. They might even begin to believe that themselves, which is not true. If you speak ill of them and they hear you, your efforts will be lost. If you speak ill of them in total solitude, then that's not right mindfulness. Be uplifting to them as well as to yourself. Right conduct. Right action aims at promoting moral, honorable, and peaceful conduct. It admonishes us that we should abstain from destroying life and that we should be helpful to others to lead a peaceful and honorable life in the right way. We can be the example in a non-boastful or braggadocious way. We cannot control someone else, but we can provide a beautiful example of a wholesome, mindful lifestyle. We conduct ourselves in such a way that not only does it ease our loved one or friend's suffering, but ours as well. Right conduct isn't about hiding our faults in front of our friends, but accepting them for what they are and learning from them. Sometimes, even we don't learn the lesson the first or second or even third time around, but we do. And that's how we can honor life and not do harm to our friend or ourselves at the same time. This can also be the notion of interbeing. When we use these loving steps to show compassion to someone who is suffering from addiction, we are helping them along their path, helping to ease their suffering. And it's important to remember that everyone's paths are different lengths and not everyone is at the same place along their path. Also remember, we aren't justifying addictive behavior. We are teaching our loved ones a new way to experience life. We must be patient and compassionate for our loved ones as well as with ourselves. Remember, it's difficult to accept a negative idea about ourselves, and an addict's mind is already in a hypersensitive state, so it may take time for this realization to manifest itself. So be patient. Mindfully practice with them daily. Develop and practice meditations that reinforce the connectedness, the inner being that we all share. Create a wholesome environment filled with support, enrichment, and love. Over time, new neural patterns will begin to develop, addictive cravings will begin to disappear, and will be replaced with more beautiful displays of self-compassion and growth. Happiness comes from presence in the moment, and with time, happiness will form. I wholeheartedly appreciate you for coming and hope you found new ways to help your loved one who may be suffering from addiction. Mindfulness will help ease their suffering and show them a beautiful way in which to experience life one moment at a time with the non-judgmental awareness that you and I have come to experience. Again, I thank you for your time and please feel free to reach out to me with any assistance you seek. I offer you many warm blessings to you, your family, and your loved one.